Hey, I'm Deane. Thanks for coming to Adapt 2022. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work, live and create, the Wurundjeri Woi Wurrung people, and elders past and present of the Kulin Nations in Melbourne. Hey everyone, so thank you for coming to my exhibition and I guess having a little bit of a look into my mind and some of my creations that I've decided to put on display for you today. Now, this entire collection has been basically all created in the last 2 years of lockdown, where I, like most people in Melbourne, were found with a lot of time on our hands, and I just decided to kind of use this time to connect back with myself. I've never really stopped painting, but I kind of went hell for leather in the lockdown with hopes of getting to the other side and putting on this exhibition. So this exhibition kind of runs true to the testament of living with faith and living knowing that, you know, we kind of can create what we want to see in this world. So as an artist, I kind of feel like for myself, putting my heart out there and putting my emotions out there through this collection, and kind of calling it Adapt as well, kind of brought me that connection to being able to utilize this as something in the future where I'll look back at it and kind of symbolize a massive changing point in my life, but also in society and a lot of things that kind of happened where I lived. I kind of personally feel like I found myself a lot through these lockdowns. Like, I was lucky to meet my partner. My relationship with my parents has kind of grown a lot closer too, because we were able to talk a lot more on the phone during the lockdowns and stuff like that. I also think like my mental health has definitely struggled through the lockdowns, like most people's. I feel like we all kind of have this like really common, strong conversation of like, yes, I survived, I made it through. And yeah, I guess I just wanted to make something that I could share with everyone that was really like, I feel like there's really pretty, beautiful moments to it. There's some dark moments to it. And I feel like that's kind of like based on the struggle that I had. A lot of my art, I guess, I've just found this kind of escape. And it's kind of been strange because whenever I'm in a really happy, like high, good vibration, I find that it's kind of harder for me to paint. And then I get in these like moods where like I'm feeling anxious in these kind of, you know, adrenaline-filled tendencies, and I've just got to like express myself and really blurt this out. And it definitely, like, painting for me, like, that really helps my mental health, but at the same time I get somewhat frustrated as well when I'll, you know, just out of like wanting to create something, I'll try to paint something, and then I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, you know, I'm in a really happy headspace today, but I really just don't enjoy this like thing that I've created. It's been a couple of times where I've just been like, nah, stuff this, and like I can't control myself, I'll just like break it. I don't really care. Like I feel like if something that I've made like isn't like up to the standard of what I want, then I don't really want to share it with anyone. I've decided to paint like, I guess, like a lot of what I think are like androgynous like faces. Not of any models or anyone that I've selectively met, more so of just like pictures that I've kind of come across like searching for models online. Obviously I was in lockdown, so I didn't have access to being able to, you know, meet up with like other people and be like, oh hey, yeah, can you sit for me and paint? But like, hopefully my next exhibition I can bring out some really cool pieces of some people that have actually like sat with me. I'm all about like uplifting my community and kind of putting my community in this position where we all like are on that higher vibration, and we all can like work together and make the best things that we want to make, and utilize our brains and utilize the dreams that are planted inside of our minds, and kind of create these things that don't exist just for other people to purely enjoy. I think that's like, as an artist, it's like one of the most amazing gifts that we've been given. So my granddad had this cockatoo growing up, and I kind of looked at it in a way as like his totem. Like, this bird basically flew down out of a tree when my grandma and granddad were living in like a caravan, basically just in the middle of nowhere in northern Queensland. And they're just, you know, out there feeding all the birds, whatever. They move to the next spot, and this cockatoo just flies with them. It flies like onto them, and they're like, all right, so I guess you're coming with us then, mate. Anyway, my granddad, he didn't live like much longer, I guess. Like, I think he had the bird for about 5 or 6 years. And I was inherited to the bird when he passed, and I was like 9 years old, and this is this giant cockatoo. I'm like this little kid. I just remember my granddad holding it, and he's just like this leather armed, like tough man, you know, and he's just got this bird like on his arm, like nails digging in, like bleeding, and I'm like, Granddad, isn't that hurting? And he's like, oh, nah, mate, nothing of it, like, you know, wipe it off, like, just didn't give a care at all. And yeah, I just like, when he passed, you know, I got given this bird, and I was just like, this is my granddad's spirit, this is his spirit. And anyway, I had it for like a week, and just out of nowhere, this snake basically came into the cage and like strangled the cockatoo and basically killed it. And Dad's, you know, oh, I'm sorry to tell you, Pixie, I'm so sorry to tell you, like, the cockatoo's died today, you know, a snake's taken it. And like, I wasn't sad. Like, I used to get so sad about animals dying. Like, I had like a few pets pass as like a kid growing up. I used to get so worked up about it, to the point where I was like put off owning my own animal, until I was like, I'm gonna buy the dog that can live like the longest. So I got a Chihuahua, you know, like, this dog's gonna live like 20 years, sweet, cool. But like, for me, I was like, all right, so this like bird has been taken by this snake, and I just found this like pure symbology in it of, you know, my granddad's energy kind of just being taken away as well. And it was strange, because my granddad, I'm not even kidding, he would smell snakes. Like, he literally, like, if there was like a black, like a, you know, king brown, or like a red belly black, or like you know, a black mamba or whatever, like, he literally would find these snakes. Like, he'd smell them, like, he'd, like, if they were near the house, like, he'd either scare them away or he'd kill them. And like, I had jars growing up of just like all these different kinds of snakes and stuff, like in jars, and like all these kind of, like, you know, like the most venomous snakes in the world, like in jars. And I was like, oh yeah, this one here bit my leg. And I'm like, how are you alive? Like, oh, you know, just got the venom out. Like, I'm just like, this is mental. So when that happened, I guess, yeah, for me, I kind of realized this kind of connection to spirit, and I was like, wow, like, I really did see that bird there as this energy inside of him. So I decided, yeah, for my exhibition, I was like, yeah, I've got to paint a cockatoo. Thinking about, like, I didn't want to paint just like a standard like face. I was like, man, I've been painting so many faces. I've seen so many well done portraits, and I'm not classically trained, so every time I try to paint something, like, I'll use like a medium like oil or something, I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. So I use house paint, because basically the first paint I've ever used was like house paint, painting like houses with Dad and stuff like that growing up. So I just know you can mix it down well. I know the pigments and the colors I can get and the things I can do with it. So I really enjoy using it for that. But I was just thinking, like, I can't paint these like super photorealistic, like, and I personally, like, I love those kinds of paintings. Like, I just think people that paint like that, I'm like, how do you do this? Like, you just have this amazing like ability to be able to sit there and focus, and like, just like, I'm just like, chaos, like, put it into a ball and just like harness it, like, but it's just this like energy that kind of always keeps moving. So I was like, I want to paint these faces, but I want to paint them so they're not finished, but I want them to look like they're there. Like you imagine someone, you're seeing them in a dream. It's like you can explain what they look like, but you can't. Like, that's how I feel in my dreams. And I'm like, I know that that's a person's face, but like, what did the face actually look like? So every time I was having these like really deep dreams, I was thinking like, all right, try and remember what that person's face looks like. I try and remember, and like, I come across these like images when I'm like looking deep through stuff, and I'm like, oh, you know, whoa, that person's face kind of looks so similar to like this face that I saw in my dream last night. I'm gonna start painting that. And I started painting this face, and I was just like, oh my God, like this really, like, this is what I'm seeing in my dreams. And then as I started doing more of them, I was just like, wow, like I'm feeling like this kind of weird, like I don't really paint things that like I don't look at, and I felt like with those paintings, they're like the first thing that I like barely looked at my reference and really just started like painting like what I was feeling, and just trying to like use my painting as like this meditation and this flow state of just like getting there and like, yes, this is like what I'm feeling right now, this is what I want to see, and really learning to like just not like overcomplicate, overpaint anything. I'd like to say thank you to my beautiful partner Victoria for helping me, being my like partner in crime, partner in rhyme, and helping me really put this all together. So without you, I feel like I wouldn't be able to, you'd say I would, but I feel like I wouldn't be able to put it together. I wouldn't be able to pull myself together. I'd be too much of a mess. So the things that love can do. Thank you. And just all of you as well, I appreciate your time, and I really hope you enjoy yourself in viewing this. I think like for myself personally, I have never worked as hard on something in my life or put as much of myself into these artworks or into anything ever before. So I really hope that that resonates with you, because I'm a firm believer on like living my best life and trying my hardest. And I think that this encapsulates that to me, of this is just pure me trying my hardest. And at times I guess I do feel like, you know, a little bit of a try hard, because I do push like so hard against the grain, but I don't know, I've just got to make things happen. So thank you, and I just appreciate it. Thank you very much.